What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression podcast, brought to you by MSOTT Rocks or Rock and Metal Thrive, where we are interviewing all of the emerging bands in the rock and metal scene today. So happy Tuesday, everybody. It is October 27th. We're almost spooky time. This is where Spencer Charnas Funko comes in. Ooh, spooky. Yeah, I had some fun with that. But we got a great episode for you today where I got to speak with Rolly and John from the band AVAT. And these Miami rockers, let me tell you guys something about them. If you guys like Killswitch Engage, Trivium, Protest the Hero, you are going to like these guys. And you're really going to like this episode because not only do we talk about the music, we talk about concerts and the whole entire concert experience as well. One thing we really get into is innovation, honestly. And when it comes to innovation, what I'm talking about is what we really dive deep into is when it comes to bands now, especially in terms of this pandemic and then going forward as well, whether we're going to continue on in this pandemic or if we're going to eradicate this disease or virus, I should say, and get back to live shows. How are bands going to adapt to what's going to happen? And these guys talk about what their plan is and how I think, honestly, it is an incredible plan. So sit back, get your popcorn ready. Are you guys ready for AVAT? I know I am. So let's go. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression podcast, my friend Tim over at Adam Splitter PR just keeps sending me all these incredible bands, and my God, he hit the nail on the head on yet another one when he sent me this band. It's like, okay, this is definitely for fans of bands like Killswitch Engage, Trivium, and Protest the Hero. And at first I thought, okay, yeah, gimme. After I listened, I'm like, yeah, gimme. So they're on the podcast today. So everyone, please welcome Jonathan and Roland from the band AVAT. So guys, welcome to the Chord Progression podcast.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate the being here.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you.
Well, how's everything going for you guys over in Miami right now?
Well, it's going pretty good, man. I mean, we can't really complain about the weather. It's a sunny day, but on the usual, we're, out there kind of just hustling every day and trying to write as best as we can.
God, the weather's so beautiful today. You have no idea.
Hey,
so good.
I mean, I know it's like super warm and you said super humid before we jumped on the call or before we started recording, and for here, right where I'm at right now, like normally it should be, like 55, 50, like low 50s and for a high just around, middle of October, but it's about 69 degrees outside right now, so it's rather nice. So I'm enjoying it. However, by the time winter rolls around and you guys are still walking around in t-shirts and shorts, I'm be walking around in a winter jacket and trying to protect my face, not because there's a pandemic going on, but because that wind is cold as all hell, man.
See, I mean, like you can always refer to the different levels of summer that we have here since we don't have any other season. It's like summer level 1 through 4. It's like, where are you going to burn? So.
Oh, man, that's really funny, man.
You guys are going to have to come up to Wisconsin where you can experience all 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter, all within the span of 1 week.
Oh. Well, if it's a week, I'm down for that.
Because there have been times here where all of a sudden, like the beginning of the week, it's been, like 75 degrees outside, and then all of a sudden by the end of the week, it's snowing. It's happened before.
Wow. We just have rain the last 5 minutes.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Guys get a lot of flooding because of the snow and all that kind of stuff?
More inland for where I'm at right now, because I'm in Milwaukee, and we're about, like, where I live right now, I'm about 4.5 miles inland from Lake Michigan. And how everything is set up is if you just go east of Milwaukee County, or no, west of Milwaukee County by like a mile maybe, there's this road that basically is like the split between like where the water is going to flow. So if you're east of it, all the water ends up flowing downward into Lake Michigan, so flooding really isn't that big of an issue. But everything west of it, it all flows more inland, so that's where it becomes a little bit more of a problem.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So I'm kind of in that like little like happy medium where I'm like right in between where that split is and the lakes. I'm like, yay, woo!
Yeah, hey.
But before we really jump into this is always something I like to do because I always like to see what the answers are. So I want you guys to introduce yourselves with your name, what you guys do in the band, and then I'm throwing it back to like if you guys went to college and you went through like that like freshman welcome week thing where everyone was always like, and we want to know a little bit of a fun fact about yourself. However, I want to know the wackiest thing you can think of. I've heard people give me just like, oh, I'm a substitute teacher and I'm a rock musician at the same time. The best one I think I've ever heard, though, like I always bring this up, is there's one band. They literally all gave me their Tinder bios. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So if you guys can top that with a wacky fact about yourself, go for it. And I'll let you guys take it over.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
My name's Roland. I am the singer for AVAT. And a wacky fact about me, I'd have to say, all right, I think everybody will enjoy this. So the best costume that I hold to date was when I dressed up as a pirate with my brother at the young spring age of 7. So that was pretty hilarious. John has seen that photo.
I'll say what's so funny about the photo though, because I mean, like, I see the smile on your face, like I can definitely tell there's something there with this photo. How good was this pirate?
Well, I have this this huge hat on, and I mean, we're talking about the early 90s. I want to say 90, 91, and I have like these ruffles everywhere, and I have like missing teeth and stuff like that. I have my glasses and an eye patch over my glasses, so it was pretty hilarious just to see us both there and just kind of like doing the Captain Morgan pose. So.
Every time I think of like the ruffled shirt, I always think of the Seinfeld episode where Jerry had to wear the ruffled shirt and they just kept making fun of the whole entire time.
Exactly like that, man. Exactly like that.
Nice. I mean, if there's a way I can find this picture, I want to see this because this just sounds absolutely hilarious.
You should post this photo. Honestly.
Definitely. Well, I mean, we are in the month of dressing up, right? So I might make a special post.
Yeah, I think the wackiest costume I ever came up with was one of my cousins. They got me though like that rubber horse mask.
Oh yes.
And what I ended up doing was I ended up going to a bar downtown Milwaukee and I wore the horse mask, but then I took some rope and I like tied like a knot around my neck. Everyone's like, what are you for Halloween? And I literally hold up, I'm like, I'm hung like a horse. There were a couple people
that's a really good one actually.
one of the bars I went to, like someone that was in line was like, what that, like they were just not like liking the costume. And then all of a sudden, like I got to the front and the bouncer was checking my ID and the bouncer looked at me, he's like, dude, what are you? I basically said like I'm hung like a horse. The guy started laughing. He's like, he's calling like awesome. The other bouncers over. He's like, dude, we got to get a picture with this guy.
They're like, dude, this guy's just lynched a fucking horse and he's standing in line. What do we do?
We might have a problem here.
It's like, yeah, we might have a problem here. Why? This is just too fucking funny. All right, John, you're up, man.
Oh, it's me. I forgot about that. Okay, my name's Jonathan. I play bass. And man, a weird fact about me. You know, it's funny because in college, whenever that question came up, I used to say I was in a metal band, and that was my weird fact.
You can't use that today because we all know that fact.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I guess I'm addicted to coffee and Call of Duty. I guess not weird, but
that sounds like something you could definitely start a Twitch stream off of.
Oh well, I'm sure. You're trying to make a lot of money on that one.
There's people that
come watch me die in the lobby about 30 times a night.
We can name the Twitch stream Cafecito and COD.
Well, remember this was like when people were just streaming on YouTube though, was this, my brother would always send me this one guy from Call of Duty, and it was just the whole entire premise of this guy was he would just always use a riot shield. That was it. And he called himself Riot Shield Man. And just go around killing people with a riot shield.
There's world records for people just using riot shield and things like that. It's kind of ridiculous.
Just one of my favorites. Some wacky things in there.
Just like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, hit him with a riot shield. But enough about Call of Duty. I'll say this, guys. I want to know more about AVAT. So, especially with when I saw the whole entire press release for you guys, like, okay, this is definitely for people that like Killswitch Engage, people that like Trivium, people like Protest the Hero. Especially after you really starting to get more into that music as of probably the past 2 years, with Killswitch Engage coming out with that album last year when they did the Signal Fire, they brought Howard Jones back. I was like, holy crap.
I loved it.
And then Trivium coming out with What the Dead Men Say earlier this year. That one right now is like on my radar for best album of the year. I think is absolutely incredible.
I love it. Catastrophist, their feature track, man, it's just phenomenal. I loved it.
Good.
Honestly, they just keep getting better every release. I I can't even fathom that. I thought they were good before, but man, they're bringing it and knocking it out of the park every time.
Yeah, 'cause
Those
like when,
vocals are so clean on those tracks, man.
yeah, because like when they did
It's
when
just
they did the
really
whole record in 2015 where Matt sang clean the whole entire time because of his vocal issues, it brought up a whole new side. And all of a sudden, Sin the Sentence comes out 2017. That single drops. Everyone's like, okay, is he? And all of a sudden, you start hearing him do the unclean vocals again, especially in how rapid of a track that is. I'm just like, yeah. And then you hear What the Dead Is in the
right.
whole entire album. It's just like any album that they ever came out with, there's a piece of that in that album. It's just, and it's all like they took the best parts and they just put them all together in one album. It sounds like it should be like a greatest hits album, but it was all new stuff.
That's really interesting way to look at it. Honestly, I hadn't thought about it like that.
It was amazing, but it's just because like when I saw the fact that those were the bands that really were on that releases like that people are gonna if you listen to those bands you're gonna like AVAT. I'm like, ooh, hello, here we go. So jumped into that, and I want to know were those bands like big influences on your sound when you were creating it and really forming it, or was that just somewhere like it just kind of happened naturally and all of a sudden it's like, ooh, we kind of have that like Killswitch Engage Trivia and Protest the Hero kind of vibe. We can really
No,
do something with this.
absolutely. Yeah, like a lot of those bands growing up, that was like right where we were in the what was the damn new wave of American metal, like a lot of Trivium and Avenged Sevenfold when they were getting big, Metallica, Lamb of God, like going to like Taste of Chaos and all those other old like super touring bands. So I mean, I'm a huge Trivium fan ever since I was young. So for sure they were a huge influence on me and everything that I've touched.
Yeah, they've always been big on me. Some of the other bands that I really like, Atreyu, Brandon
Oh
Saller is a
yeah.
fantastic vocalist, and I really enjoy the Papa Roach stuff that's been coming out, and I just like to see their transition into each album. So I appreciate them as an artist as well. And just seeing how many gaps they can bridge over into different genres. So that's always been cool to watch. But a favorite of mine has always been Killswitch. I mean, In the Heartache was just it for me, and that kind of brought me into this whole metalcore vibe, and I started to really focus on that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that kind of grew up like with bands like Korn and Stained, and then transitioned into these guys. I mean, early on, I was listening to Alexis on Fire, Poison the Well, The Bled, all that kind of stuff. And once I started to hear Killswitch and all these other bands come out, Trivium, and what's another fan favorite? The early Protest stuff was fantastic, and the Receiving End of Sirens was also a favorite of mine. So just I just really appreciate a good range of vocals, and I think all of these bands deliver that.
Oh, very much so. And it's like I can kind of attest that too, because I still remember the first time I ever got really into or even heard a metalcore band was I was at a show in 2015, and Killswitch was what was not the headliner. They were they were the middle band, because the headliner was my favorite band of all time, Rise Against. So I'm like, I finally got to see Killswitch for the first time. I'm like, oh, this is different. And because like I was always more of like a hard rock,
No
punk rock kind of
way,
guy. And if I was
wow.
listening to metal, I was listening to something like Disturbed. Like that was where I was going for it. All of a sudden, it's
Okay.
like all of a sudden over time, once I started this whole entire project, I'm like, okay, I started getting into more stuff. I really wasn't that big into metalcore. All of a sudden, I heard the Holy Hell album from Architects in 2018, and that was just like, okay, this is something that I'm really enjoying. Then someone was like, hey, you got to listen to Motionless in White. I checked out Motionless in White, and that just kind of started me down like the rabbit hole of all this stuff. And it's just like, okay, getting into more metalcore, getting into Killswitch Engage, getting into Trivium, getting into I'm trying to think of a couple others, like Moss to Flames, getting into lately like some more of the Australian metalcore bands like Polaris, Make Them Suffer. And then the big one that it just like right when I first heard them and saw them live, it was just the end of it right there. I'm like, I am just sold on this, was when I saw Ice Nine Kills live. And funny enough,
Ice Nine Kills is fantastic.
Funny enough, when I saw them, the reason I wanted to go to that show in the first place was because Light the Torch was on that tour as well as the first big band on the tour, and I'm like, I really want to see Howard Jones perform. Like, I got to see this. And then it was like the Torch and Fit for a King and the headliner being Ice Nine Kills. They played for 2 hours, and this was 2 days after Halloween. And it was just like, oh my God, this is awesome.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. Oh, that makes me so depressed, dude. I love concerts right now.
Trust me, it kind of depresses me too, just due to the fact that I was going to concerts like left and right, always getting into mosh pits, always just either getting like leveling people or getting hurt myself, and all of a sudden, it stopped, and I'm just like, what the heck am I supposed to do? I'm pretty sure that the reason why I had to get my appendix removed is because my body had to find a way to hurt itself from not getting into mosh pits.
Oh man.
We caught Ice Nine over here in South Florida.
Was that the show that they were initially like banned from?
I think it was Warped Tours when they came down here last, and that was pretty fun. The last Warped Tour that rolled into South Florida over at the Coral Sky Amphitheater.
The last.
Yeah.
The last.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the last.
But that was a phenomenal show. And I mean, they had the 2 stages right next to one another, and you just see the mosh pit going from one to the next. It's just like swarming back and forth, and that was pretty cool.
I've seen
killed it.
I've seen something like that with like those like those like festival setups where, because the last big festival I was at Riot Fest in Chicago last year, and it was like for like because I went on a Saturday, and they had stages all over the place, but they had 2 that were right next to each other, and the big one was going to be one of the ones that was right next to like one of those like 2 together. All of a sudden, it's like 7 o'clock rolls around, and there are just people everywhere except for that one main stage, because it was stuff like Wu-Tang Clan was playing, and the one that was active against the next main stage, Rise Against, was playing. So of course, like, and we're in Chicago too, so everyone is there, and it's just like a massive crowd. But all of a sudden, once everyone's sets end, everyone just basically like migrates over to that next stage because it was Slayer. Like, no one's missing that.
Oh yeah!
Wow, that's amazing.
Dude, and they have the green flame set up, didn't they?
I don't know. There was, I don't even remember. There was just so much pyro going on. It was ridiculous.
But Slayer Live is awesome too. We caught them down here, I think, last time, and it was great.
You could feel the heat from over 100 yards away from that pyro. It was ridiculous.
I bet, man. I mean, those shows are always amazing. I ended up catching System of a Down with the Mars Volta a while back over here at the BB&T. That was phenomenal.
What?
I mean, that was just amazing. I mean, they had the whole floor open to the ice rink and cleared out all the ice. They put a bunch of floor mats down, and everyone's just going at it. I mean, to see that live, that was phenomenal.
Dude, that's cool.
Mosh pits on the ice are absolutely hilarious things. Even if they put floor mats on there, the ice is going to get exposed one way or another. I've seen that at so here in Milwaukee, we've got our minor league hockey team, the Milwaukee Admirals. After some of their games, like, they'll have concerts that like just like an hour concert from certain bands afterwards. So I've seen bands like older bands like Styx. I've seen Foreigner after that. I've seen bands like REO Speedwagon come through. However, like this year, I got to see. I went to one Admirals game because I wanted to see I just wanted to, it was gonna be my first concert of 2020. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be at an Admirals game. My buddy was gonna be able to sneak me down on the ice. I was gonna get to see Skillet for the 3rd time. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be awesome.
No way.
And like some people are trying to get a little bit of a pick going. I'm like, just with the amount of like older people and kids that were like on the ice, it's like, okay, it's not really happening. However, there was one time that they were talking about where they said there was a full-on pit on the ice and they couldn't stop it, and it was because Dropkick Murphys were playing. And you're not stopping that at all. They're like, so many people got hurt, but we were surprised that no one sued us. I'm like, well, everyone that goes into a mosh pit knows the risks. Like, if they get hurt, it's on you.
Yeah, no.
But enough about everybody else's shows. I want to know, because again, we're like, for you guys right now, especially not only for you guys, but like the music industry as a whole, no one's really playing shows because, well, we really can't. And for people like myself, we can't really go to shows because there are no shows to go to. Damn you, COVID. But what I want to know is, like, when shows get going again, what can people expect from you guys when it comes to a live show? Like, what do you guys normally do? What kind of energy do you guys bring? And what is the crowd reaction usually like? Are there crazy mosh pits going all over the place? Are there a bunch of crowd surfers? Do you guys do anything crazy on stage like A Day to Remember does with crowd surfing the crowd surfer? Still mad I didn't get to do that, but, you know, maybe next time.
We do it kind of all, to be honest. You know, we've been rehearsing our butts off, you know, at least, you know, we try to do twice a week. But you know, once we start gearing up for tour, we'll probably do maybe 2 or 3 weeks before that, and just do an every night thing just to get everything solid. But I feel that we're ready for it. I think that a lot of fans can expect us to just be energetic on stage. I like to speak to the crowd a lot. I like to involve them in the song. A lot of our fan base locally likes to sing along. They know the lyrics, and we're thankful for that. I mean, it just knows that that shows me that they're paying attention, they're listening, and I think there's a lot of camaraderie that goes on at shows, and we like to try and focus on that too. As far as the energy that you can see on stage, I mean, we all go a little crazy, and then we always invite the mosh. We always invite, you know, crowd surfing, so that's always cool. And we have a little bit of a light show, so that's pretty cool. We've been working on that for a long time, and there's other things that are up our sleeve, but we'll leave those for the actual show itself.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, we like to hit you a little fast and hard, but for the most part, yeah, really said it all.
But one thing I did like what you said, especially what you said, Roland, was involving the crowd a lot. And the reason why I'm a big fan of that is because I've gone to so many different shows over the past, ever since I started going to shows. And what I've found is it always depends upon the band as well when it comes to overall like crowd energy, crowd participation, and in terms of overall fun, because there are times I've been gone to shows and like seen bands that I've wanted to see, and they've gone up there, they've just kind of played, and that was it. And that really just doesn't resonate well on my end, specifically because if you're just kind of going up there, just playing, not really moving, not really talking to the crowd or anything, and then you leave, like that's fine, I get it, but there's just I'm not gonna remember that show as much. I'm gonna remember something like, I'm trying to think of a couple of good examples. Like Seven Dust. Like I've seen them I've seen them once. Like it was just, they were up on stage. They just basically played the whole entire time. They really didn't address the crowd that much. But it was just, if you looked up on stage, like you looked at Lejean and he looked like he was just completely into it. Or you look at Clint Lowry, he was just like going absolutely insane. It's just like, okay, you can drive the energy off of that. Or you get bands like, I'll use Ice Nine Kills and Motionless and White, where they got more of like a stage setup. It's a little bit crazier. But it's just the energy that drives off of that. Or I use Rise Against as well, where they're going up and playing as well, but it's just the constant movement just creates so much energy. And when you're able to go and address the crowd as well and really involve the crowd in that and just invite the crowd to have a good time, they're going to respond, and that energy is just going to end up building up to all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh crap, I want to match that energy on stage. And then all of a sudden your energy is going to build up, and then the crowd's just going to be feeding off that back and forth to the point where you guys are going to end your set and the crowd's just going to be so much into it that they're not going to want you to leave.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of the difference maybe between playing a show and maybe like a recital, which I don't want to knock any bands that just go on stage and play and don't say anything. But at least from where our perspective, it feels more like a high school recital at that point, where you kind of just going on stage and playing music, and then when you're all done, you leave and everybody claps. And the difference between us and like the show is that we love to go and connect with everybody. I mean, it's a lot of the times it's a smaller room. You're gonna be connecting with people and you're gonna be feeling everybody's energy. So that's definitely more of what we want to go for in our live show for sure.
I'll say not only that, but when you're playing that live show as well, especially if you're playing with like a more like indoor, a little bit more of like a smaller crowd as well, and you're connecting with that crowd, and that crowd's going to be there because they connect with your music. So all of a sudden, when you're at a live show, you're going to connect with the music in the same way when they hear it, but now there's going to be even more to it, because the people who created that music, which is you guys, you're going to connect with them in a more of a personal way as well. So it just keeps adding more and more to it, adds more of an authenticity to it in the end.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we get told a lot that folks really enjoy when they're able to actually hear the lyrics being spoken and sung. So that's really what we hear back a lot from. So when they're really enjoying the songs, they're able to understand the lyrics. Suddenly they're having a better time because, well, now they can actually get into it and feel comfortable. So we get that a lot, and that's something that has always stuck with me. So I work a lot on making sure that my diction is good, and every time that we go out and practice, I make sure that I'm hitting everything right, and I think that's really important. Um, some other bands I've seen out on stage don't really get that across. Sometimes it ends up making that performance a little sloppy, and I never want that for our fans. So I really focus a lot on that and trying to bring out the best performance that we can.
Yeah, and maintaining the fact that your fans are going to end up leaving the show with a positive experience and a smile on their face because of what happened during the show, instead of just leaving and be like, okay, we saw the band, that was it. Like, you want them to remember the feeling from your show after they leave.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
And
at the end of the day, we're here trying to entertain people,
Yeah, and people are gonna enjoy it as well, especially once the crowd gets that that feeling going. If you guys are gonna really bring the crowd into it, because all of a sudden, when the mosh pit gets going, it's I can see where people think it's crazy, but you fall down, there's like 3-4 people coming to pick you up. All of a
there
sudden,
is a camaraderie, yes, absolutely, and no metalhead is trying to go out there and kill somebody in a mosh pit. That's not what anybody's trying to do. So.
No,
For sure.
And not only that, but like if someone is doing that, because I've been in one where someone was just had that mentality.
The crowd killers.
It's found out rather quickly, and the pit does not take kindly to that. So, because this was one I was.
Quick way to get a kick to the chest, honestly.
Yeah. It was one where this one guy was it was just somewhere he was kind of crowd killing, and then he ended up getting hit, and he had this, and I think he ended up breaking his nose, and it was just bleeding everywhere. But he didn't want to leave. And we're like, dude, get out of here. You're bleeding. This is not good. And he wouldn't leave, to the point where all of a sudden, like, 4 people were just like, all right, screw it. They just grabbed him and just walked him to the back. It's like, no, we're not dealing with this. Like, this is dumb. I've had my fair share.
Nobody wants to clean up blood like that.
Like, I was at a show. This was After the Burial and Motionless in White, and the pit was insane for After the Burial. And I got knocked down with like the second last song for After the Burial, and I was just getting picked up. Some dude tripped. And we went head to head, and I had this giant cut above my eyebrow, or below my eyebrow, it was right above my eye. And I was holding like this, like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And I saw it was bleeding. The guy was like, I'm sorry. And I just said, get me out of here. And it wasn't that I was mad at him. It was like, dude, I'm bleeding. I'm in the pit. This is not a good situation, because I don't want to bleed over everybody. Like, that's a bad thing to do. Went to the back. I was like, I basically stopped the bleeding. Someone that I met at the show, like, they took off a piece of their flannel, like they ripped a piece of it. I was able to tie around my head. I looked like a pirate, and I didn't jump back in the pit for Motionless in White, because I didn't want the cut to open up again and start bleeding over everybody. I was on the side though, pushing people back in, because that's what I wanted to do.
Good decision, dude. Good decision.
Those are always
crazy.
Fun.
I have a couple of stories like that where we almost died in a mosh pit, but nothing where I came out with any injury like that.
Because I've come out with,
thank God.
Yeah, because I've come out with a black eye from a crowd surfer. I was trying to hold up 2 people, and this third crowd surfer came in, and the peel of her combat boot hit me right in the eye. That was for Rise Against. And then for Falling in Reverse, I had someone give me a flying elbow during the start of the breakdown for Popular Monster, like, hit me right in the nose. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It was such a hard hit. I have no idea how my nose didn't break or how I didn't start bleeding. It was
wow.
That's when you've got the cushion in the right place, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but oh man, thankfully. But then going back to, it's just those shows, like, the reason I remember those shows so much in those moments was just because they were so much fun, but also that, but like, like when I got a cup on my eye, like the camaraderie of the pit, not only that picked me up, but also helped me get out of there real quick. It was incredible. And then when people are crowd surfing as well, it's just like, okay, not to drop them in. If they're about to drop, it's like, okay, let's see if we can make sure they don't hit the ground, or maybe get them on their feet, and then we'll just pick them right back up and send them on their way. it's just there's this whole different kind of camaraderie and like a family sense in a way. It's where it's like
Yes,
everyone's your best
absolutely.
friend out there.
Yep.
Right. I mean, because like
Oh,
everybody
okay.
wants to have a good time and everybody wants to make sure everyone else is having a good time because that's our environment. If we don't take care of it, then, it's going to cease to exist. And I think that's really what ended up pissing off a lot of people when they decided to, end Warp Tour. And and it wasn't so much of the money factor because I think that the fans would have been willing to pay more if that were the case. Because at the end of the day, we need that. We need that as a culture. We need that as a community. And I think a lot of metal fans would agree that we would rather see that environment, right, than have it lost altogether. So we're now stuck with we don't have any like rolling tours or anything like that.
Especially here in
So
Miami, nothing comes
yeah,
down here.
nothing comes down here. I mean, what was the last time that they did Warp Tour in Biscayne was forever ago, and that was one time, and then they moved it straight back to West Palm Beach. But
Sometimes I think we do get Summer Slaughter sometimes at Revolution.
sometimes
In Fort Lauderdale, about an hour away, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But nothing
really
like mega.
here.
Like I remember back in the day with was it oh man, Family Values tour, Taste of Chaos, I mean, those were rolling tours that were monstrous. And then now we get pretty much all the large tours, they roll through West Palm to that Coral Sky Amphitheater because of the vastness of that stage. And John, you've been there a couple times, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Yeah. So, I mean, just there's open field. You have the amphitheater, and then facing the amphitheater, you have this lawn that's just going on an incline, and everybody sits on the incline and not obstructing anyone's view, so everybody can jam out, listen to their songs. I've watched.
I've made some of my best friends on that lawn.
There, Incubus there, Deftones there. Man, I mean, phenomenal bands, dude.
Marilyn Manson, I've seen there. Lamb of God, Slayer. I think every band that I've seen has been there.
Yeah,
so maybe two in BBT, but I mean,
did you end up going to the Metallica tour over at the Hard Rock?
No, they did a drive-in, and I was able to go to a winery down here in Homestead where they had like a field set up next door and a giant screen. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
But I mean, the thing is, especially here in Miami, we don't have a lot of those big tours. We don't get a lot of shows that come here sometimes. It's maybe some of the rock bands like Coheed and Cambria, and more like that vein go and play at the Fillmore here in Miami. So that camaraderie and that stuff at metal shows, these local bands are all we got sometimes for metal shows. And it's not the biggest, it's a big scene, but it's not the biggest scene. So everybody, you eventually learn everybody, and you at least know them by face and stuff. So that camaraderie here in Miami is huge for local shows, like
definitely. I mean, kind of forces us to do a lot of pop-ups.
It's kind of like inviting a big party with your friends, and then like all those friends are taking a turn on stage and playing,
So at some point soon, well, once live shows get going back, you guys are gonna have to venture out of the Miami area a little bit more and come up towards my neck of the woods up here because
that'd be awesome.
Because what for myself, it's I end up getting to see a lot of these tours because either they're gonna have to go through the area at some point because I'm an hour and a half north of Chicago. So either they're gonna go through Milwaukee, they're gonna go through Chicago, or they're gonna go through both. And if you go through Chicago, it's like, okay, I understand that, and it's only an hour and a half drive away. This is nothing. But then if you come through Milwaukee, why a lot of bands come through here is because the biggest venue here, called the Rave, is they got 3 stages. They've got a lot of history behind it, and it's just a fun place to play.
That's super cool.
Yeah, because they've got a ball, like it was an old Eagles club, so it's like they got a huge ballroom upstairs, and that's where their main stage is. They've got like an actual like a nice like club level where it's got a nice balcony, so like pretty much like a very standard like club level stage. But then you go to the basement, and it's just like it is literally like a basement stage where it's like you just have the basement, the stage is raised about 4 or 5 feet above the ground, and it's just flat. That's it. Like you get this completely different feel no matter what, and so many different groups come through here no matter what it is. And I've seen a lot of groups, I've seen a lot of people on those stages, and I've seen shows where all of a sudden, like, we've had like Seven Dust and In This Moment played in the ballroom last year, and I was up at that show, and in the basement, like, 'cause I remember I walked out in the balcony and I saw Seven Dust tour bus, I saw In This Moment's tour bus, and then I saw 7 other tour buses, and I'm like, what the heck? Who has 7 other tour buses? And on the side of it, it just had strange music. I'm like, that's right, Tech Nine is downstairs. And by the time like both shows were over, everyone left at the same time, and it was hilarious just because I was talking with people like, when like there was a break in the show for Tech Nine, we could hear the mosh pits upstairs, we could hear everything, and we're like, well, when there were breaks in our shows, we could hear your bass going from the basement, and everyone was just laughing about it because like, this is hilarious. It's like both stages were battling at the same time through like 2 whole floors, and it just worked out. It was awesome.
Whoa, that's crazy.
That's amazing.
But but the other thing too is because we get so many of these bands that come through here, it's crazy because it's like with the hard rock and metal scene up here, it seems like, okay, at times, it doesn't seem like it necessarily exists because there's so much of a more prominence on like pop music, hip hop, rap, country. But what ends up happening is like when I go to these shows, it's like I see a lot of people that I see at a lot of these shows as well, especially in the mosh pits, because I see a lot of the same people. However, I'm going to shows where it's like, okay, sometimes there's 400, 500 people. Sometimes there's 2,000 to 3,000 people. So I'm always running into new people as well. And it's people coming from Madison, Wisconsin, people coming from Green Bay, people coming from Chicago, especially if these tours aren't stopping in Chicago, where it's like, okay, if you're not stopping in Chicago, come up north to Milwaukee. It's not that far. And a lot of people end up doing that. So you guys get a chance, come up north.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely
want to do that. I mean,
Russell,
everybody tells us the same thing. We come from Miami, and everybody knows how barren it is out here. So
yeah,
we know.
I can't really wait till we get out on the road. I'd love to hit up the East Coast and then circle back around through Milwaukee, hit up Chicago, come down, maybe do some of the Minor states, and come back down through there. Maybe hit up Louisiana and then circle back around through Tallahassee, hitting the other coast there. But
sound like you've thought about this, bro.
I've thought about this so long, dude. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm pumped. So I know it's just a matter of time, and really we need to all focus on trying to, get rid of this whole COVID situation and really teach as much as possible so that this can go away. And not only that, but we can learn as a culture and humanity to just get better at with all of these things. A lot of that, I think, is the younger crowd who think that, we're invincible. And I went through that phase. I completely understand. But, realize that we're also responsible for everyone else. I mean, the last thing you want is spreading that disease and getting anyone else sick. So the sooner that gets done, the sooner we all can get back on the road, the sooner we can all have these amazing shows. And that's really, I'm pleading for that. So
you can tell Rolly's a dad, honestly.
Yeah. Well, even on my end too, it's like from the other perspective as well, from the, not necessarily the like the completely upside of that whole entire COVID, but I'm talking about from the band perspective to the fan perspective. From my end, where I'm looking at it is just, yeah, we get this COVID situation under control, so the point comes to where we can actually bring back these cons. We can defeat this virus to the point where, we can all get back to that community, that camaraderie, that family feel of going to shows, and this having that time where we can just not have to worry about life. We don't have to worry about the crap and the bullshit and everything else that comes with it. We can just have this couple hours where we can go enjoy music with people that just want to be there because they connect with the music in a different way than we do on an individual basis, but it has the same positive impact. And we just want to go through that. And for like a little bit more of like a mid-20s perspective as well, from my end, it's like, when it comes to defeating the virus, can we not have to pick sides on a political spectrum? Can we just all come together and be like, hey, this is a common goal. Let's stop this virus. Can we all just take a look and be like, who gives a shit about any kind of politicalness? Let's just stop the virus so we can get back to living the life that we, go back to the point where we can still do whatever the heck we want. We don't have to worry about these different weird restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the virus doesn't choose sides. You know what I mean? It's equal to everyone. And that thing is eventually going to mutate and get worse. So before that ends up happening, we really need to just buckle down and kind of take care of that.
just figure it out and let's just defeat this thing so that, basically, so you guys can get back up on stage. And from my perspective, I can start going around those pits again and be like, this is life. Yes. And then all of a sudden get hit in the side, land on my back, get the wind knocked out of me, get picked up going, you good, man? Give me 5 seconds. All right, let's go. And then when it comes to your guys' music as well, especially taking a listen to it, there's definitely some of those songs where I can definitely see myself being like, you know what? As this song gets going on, like, yeah, you can start seeing it amp up a little bit. All of a sudden, like right when the instrumentals come in fully, it's just like, alrighty, here comes everyone and smashing time. Boom. Because like there's parts on your newest song, Dead or Alive, that definitely have some of that feel where I'm like, okay, and the mosh pit would really get going right around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite songs right now.
There's a part in that second verse where it really kind of bumps up the energy a little bit. I love that part, dude. You always go so crazy during that part, and I can't wait to play that live and for people to know it's coming. Like, oh man.
Oh yeah, and there's a couple of questions I have to ask about this song. One is about the meaning of it, because in the release that I got in the email, it said like the meaning was about an honest message about what you go through in a damaged and tragic relationship and the way it makes you feel empty and drowning with regret. And when I always see relationship and I saw the Killswitch Engage moniker, I'm thinking it was like every time I listened to a Killswitch song that had Howard Jones in it, it was always about some sort of relationship and some sort of problem with a girl or something like that. So my question is this. Was that inspiration here? You guys were going full Howard Jones on this one?
Rolly?
I mean, to say that Howard Jones was an inspiration, yeah. I mean, he's part of the reason why I started this path in the first place. So thank you to him, and thank you to Killswitch for writing such amazing songs. But And the guys really touch base on this a lot. I don't really see what the song is as a whole until we finish writing it and we're in the process of mixing. And I'm a very kind of like free-flowing writer, where I'll take a piece of music that they've written or riff and I'll just start writing away, because I can envision where the song is going. I can write a melody in my head and just kind of work that out. I'll use my recorder, come back to it, show it to the guys, send it in our chat. We have a Dropbox that we work on a ton of music together, and we really try and just grow the song level by level and just have that layered effect. So every time that we're sending stuff back to one another, we have this, this change in the song. And then once the song is finished, we go back and we just destroy it again and rewrite everything. So, we're never 100% content with how the song is, because we always think that it could be better, right? And a lot of the times we can do that in the studio.
It's really funny because Rolly does write like that, where we'll send him stuff, and a lot of the times he won't really conceptualize what he's writing about. And until we're already at this point where we're like, okay, Rolly, we gotta say what the song is about. Can you say this to us? And he won't know what it is. We will know. We'll read it and we'll be like, oh, okay. And he I think he subconsciously takes a lot of the stuff that's happening in his life and he puts it in a way that's relatable for everybody to be able. That sounds cool in a song, but he doesn't really always know he's doing it until we've been pointing it out. And I think now he's probably a little more self-aware of it. But in the past, a lot of that stuff was just Rolly's life experiences. And he didn't even know until we were like, Rolly, you're talking about this, dude. He's like, oh, no. Yeah.
Well, in all honesty, that kind of reminds me a little bit of how when it comes to really writing music and it comes to writing songs and figuring out what the meaning of those songs are, it's kind of similar in a way to what Rise Against does, because they always end up coming up with the music first, and then just when it comes to like figuring out the vocals, what they'll actually do is when they're playing and they're working on it, like ended up Tim McGrath, they'll just end up like singing gibberish just to really figure out like what the pattern has to be, and then figuring out what he wants to sing about, and then following along suit, like, okay, this is where this is what the song, it feels like what it should be talking about is this is what I'm gonna write about. I have the vocal pattern figured out and how I want it to sound, so now I gotta make the message sound that way. And then all of a sudden that's time where sometimes you can get something that's rather just, blatant in your face punk rock with him, or you can get something that's rather more melodic and prophetic at times, like on their latest song. Like the instrumentation is fast and rapid and his vocals are rather melodic, and it really works out that way really well. So kind of having that similar feel as well, I can get behind it, mostly because, well, my favorite band does it. I can see it really working, especially on a track like Dead or Alive. So keep it up, man.
Thank you.
That's not a bad idea, actually, the way that they do it. We've been branching out into different ways of how writing our newer stuff, especially the stuff that we're working on now. So, hopefully we can come out with some awesome stuff in a different way that's new for us to write it too. So
just plucking random things out of my brain.
We're trying reverse tactics now, trying to kind of like write out the chorus before we kind of start diving into the song as a whole. So we're trying to write a bunch of these choruses and just picking and choosing our favorite ones and then building on that. So I think that's definitely going to change the dynamic of the next music that we release. And maybe that might come out this year, maybe not, but we'll see. We definitely have music that'll come out this year.
There's something about 2020 about staying out of your comfort zone,
That's,
oh yeah.
I said that's kind of the whole entire thing that's been of 2020. No one's really been inside their comfort zone with the whole entire year. But a couple of things on top of that, though. One is when it comes to, trying to say, like, okay, we're going to write it in a different fashion that we normally do. We're going to try these different writing processes. What that does is, yes, it does put you out of your comfort zone. However, there's a couple of things that happen. One is you end up learning maybe a different way to write a song, and you end up getting a different appreciation for the songwriting process, to the point where if you're trying to write something out in a certain way, for in the future, you've tried all these different things. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, I know this works in this certain style and how we wrote it like this. So I can take inspiration off that and go forward in that. And it's just basically diversifying your ability as a musician to write songs and compose them in a way that you want them composed, in the way that makes them sound the way that you want them to sound. And one thing that I kind of came with this quote, like, I think it was maybe last year or earlier this year at this point. No, it was this year at this point, and it kind of talks about that comfort zone. And it's, life's not about living inside your comfort zone and hoping that good things happen. Life's about living outside your comfort zone and making great things happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now look at me getting all prophetic on the podcast once again. Ooh, yeah.
Learn some life lessons here.
Hey man, sometimes it happens. That's the way it is.
It's true, and sometimes in situations like this, you don't really get to see it like that until stuff like this happens.
No, and also it kind of gives you a different appreciation for certain things as well. So like when it comes to the music as well, it's like I've got different appreciation for live music and concerts, just because I like when it comes to that feeling of just being a part of that and being in the crowd and just enjoying the camaraderie and enjoying the fact that no matter what the heck is going on in life, like there was a period of time where I was just absolutely just a wreck, just depressed. I had suicidal tendencies. And the one thing that started me getting back on track was I went to go see Rise Against. And it was just like for 2 hours, I didn't think about anything else. All I thought about was the fact that my favorite band's on stage. I'm having a blast. And at this point, I was like, I hadn't been in a mosh pit yet. And then they started playing their last song. They started playing Savior, and someone threw me into the pit. And I'm just like, oh God, what the heck? I got hit once, and it was just like, oh, let's do this again.
It's therapy, man. It's therapy.
There's also something therapeutic about being with the tribe too in those metal shows,
Yeah.
That feeling of belonging and finding your people is great. And it's especially for metal people, I guess. I don't know if y'all have done the same experience for me, but I mean, it's a great feeling that you found your people at these shows,
It really
Absolutely.
is. Because there's people that's like, I've seen at shows, like I I'll see him at shows, and that's pretty much the only time I see him. But it's always an incredible time seeing him because it's kind of like you catch up on life a little bit, like how you doing, what you've been doing, how's everything, how's the kid, kind of thing. Like
Yes.
asking all these random questions, and all of a sudden, band goes on, and next thing you know, you're smashing into this person, you're leveling them on the ground, you're picking them back up, and everyone's happy. By the time the song's over, everyone's giving each other high fives and hugging each other. Even the shirtless, sweaty dudes are doing it, and no one cares because everyone's just having a great time. It's just nothing, no preconceived notions matter in that moment. All that matters is everyone is at the show, everyone is there connecting with the music in a different way, but it has such a positive, but the similarity is everyone has a positive impact from that music. So that's where this full on family feel, camaraderie feel, and just overall sense of belonging for everybody just comes in.
Yeah, I agree. Straight up. I miss that feeling.
We'll get there soon.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
It's just somewhere. It's just can we get this COVID thing to go bye? Can we just like eradicate it completely to the point where all of a sudden like, okay, we're starting live shows up, and all of a sudden now everyone's gonna be going out playing live shows, and next thing I'm gonna know, it's like, okay, we're gonna take a little bit of a break from recording podcast episodes. Why? There's like a show each night of the week this week that I really want to go see. So yeah, and then all of a sudden I start recording another podcast episode, and like my face is all like bruised. I got like 2 black eyes, I got a couple of cuts over here, like I got a broken arm. What happened? Went too hard, guys.
You got yourself in a sling. You're just like hovering over to the mic.
Went too hard.
Like, hey guys, how's it going?
Great time last night.
Great time last night.
Great time last night. I'm not gonna forget it. Why? Because I'm in a sling. I'm not gonna forget this one. Trust me.
Feeling this.
Oh yeah, it's a thing that you miss. And then one other thing that's like, again, when it comes to the full on family feel as well, is just because I'm gonna use Dead or Alive as an example for this. When it comes to certain songs where the instrumentals, where they're really the driving force behind everything in terms of giving meaning and giving an explanation to an emotion that's really hard to explain. And just when it comes like, okay, what did it feel like to go through something like this, where maybe like with this song, where did it feel like when you're going through like a damage and tragic relationship, and how you felt empty and dry with regret? How did that feel? It's just like the way that the song is produced and the way it's constructed and composed. It's like you start feeling that. All of a sudden, it's just like, okay, you're starting to feel like you're realizing that you're in that relationship that is damaged and tragic and is not healthy for you, and you're starting to feel like, okay, I shouldn't be in this, and you're starting to feel a little bit more regretful of the whole entire thing. Then you start feeling that anger towards it due to the fact that you feel like that, but then all of a sudden as the song goes down, you start feeling that like more like that fire come back within you to, okay, now I have to start making this change to get back to being the person that I want to be, and back to being happy due to the fact that I'm not in a good place right now. And it just tells that whole entire story. And the people that have gone through that, they're going to connect on that message. They're going to connect on that feeling because maybe they haven't experienced it as powerful, maybe experienced more powerful, but the explanation, the connection is there even stronger than it was before.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it unfortunately, it has happened to a lot of people. And I mean, I know tons of people that connect with, even with a moment, just not being there in that relationship. So, I mean, I know, especially with Rolly's lyrics and stuff, you can really feel that in the song at certain moments and certain lines that you're just like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, I would say it's like, a deeper cut. And once you find yourself in sync with what the message is, and you find that relatable, it kind of gives you this sense of feeling normal, of normalcy, and really just saying, well, hey, I'm the same. I'm the same. This song is saying that I'm the same, that this is a normal feeling, and suddenly you start to feel a lot better about the situation, because you know that it may suck to have that happen to you, but that also means that there are other folks that you can relate with, and that means that might be your support system, and that might get you out of that hole. So that's really what I hope that folks can get from the music, is that ability to just kind of like dig out of wherever they're at, and hopefully that message can get across
and connect.
Oh, very much so. And I can even attest that on a more personal level too, because when I was going through all that crap is trying to get out of it. I mean, my biggest thing was I like when it came to listening to music, it was at times I was listening to more downtrodden, depressed music, which sort of amplified what I was going through and sometimes made it a little bit worse. And I'm not gonna lie, I shouldn't have done that, but then again, there's a lot of people do that a lot of the times. It's
It,
just like when you're feeling
it's
down, you end up listening to sad stuff, especially like at that time. It was right it was about like mid to late 2017. So this was right. I was listening to like One More Light and Heavy from Linkin Park, and this is right after Chester passed. So it just like
oh
added fuel to the fire.
no.
But then
Yeah.
what I had to do was I'm like, okay, I need to focus on, music that's gonna amplify fixing this and getting back to who I want to be. So I started listening to older 30 Seconds to Mars, which I really got into, listening to Skill, listening to Rise Against again, and just really focusing on that, and that helped out a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy how music is therapy and how it affects us so much like that too.
Yeah, you know, a band that did that for me was Thrice, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And a lot of their music I think is so powerful. I mean, if you really listen to the lyrics and kind of put yourself in the song, uh, you can see the whole landscape and just kind of feel what Dustin was writing about. So I always try and look for that in music, as songs are coming out, and I try and see the level of care that they put into that song. So for me, I think that's really what's more impressive to me. I see that a lot with Bring Me the Horizon right now, with Trivium, of course, Killswitch, and these are artists that know what they want. They know what they want to write about. They know the message that they want to come across, and they also know the power behind it, and just the effects of that. So I think when I see something like that come across my ears, I'm flabbergasted to even hear it. I'm just like, man, this is phenomenal to listen to. I always try and reach out, or I leave a comment or something like that, and make sure to follow that artist, and that's one of the ways that I can show my appreciation is by kind of doing that. So um, yeah, I mean, I think as we grow as musicians, we'll probably start to find that as well, and we'll be able to fine tune the sound because of it.
Oh, totally understandable. And if you haven't checked this out, though, for you really specifically, because what you were talking about with Thrice, if you want to check out a song that for me that really speaks to what you were just speaking to, check out a song by Polaris called "Above My Head." It basically for like the whole entire song. What it talks about is talks about the feeling of going through depression and feeling like it's really hard to overcome, and it seems like that you're over, like, in above your head because you can't get through it. However, just the way the music is composed, it really hones in on the feeling that it really takes on, like the toll and that it takes on you. But why I like to listen to it so much is because not only does it doesn't just flash me back to those times, but it reminds me the way the music is composed that I'm not like I beat that. Like I've gotten past that. So if I can get past that, especially with like the way 2020 has been with everything that's gone on, if I can get past what I went through in 2017, I can get through this. And it just that song
Absolutely.
has this whole entire feel to it. And right now it's like if I for when my full on year end awards come out for like best song of the year, right now that's the top contender for the top pick.
That's awesome. I'll definitely have to take a listen to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, if we could imbue even a little bit of that feeling onto anybody, that would be amazing. Because, I mean, especially as people, as musicians, you kind of write stuff, put it out there, and you don't know how people are going to connect or relate to it, if they are at all. So, I mean, any way that they do is also is kind of those small little victories where it's just like, wow, I really did something for somebody in a way where they did it for themselves. I didn't have anything to do with it, but something that I put out there into the world was able to let them see that inside themselves, to be able to find the power in themselves to be able to get out of something like that.
I think definitely with your fans as well, if for the ones that have really gotten into Dead or Alive, I think you may have easily hit the nail on the head with that song as well, because people that have gone through those relationships, especially again the way the music is composed and the way that Rolly's vocals also amplify that with more of like, more of a drawn out melodramatic melodic sense at the beginning of the song, and then when you really get into the verses where the instrumentation is harder, where just that little bit of a rougher, more amplified, like kind of style of vocal really comes through.
Yes.
Like, it just adds more to the emotion. It just compares so well to what the instrumentals are doing to really just make every single part of that song and the story that's being told within that song and the message being told just pop through each portion of the song.
I definitely feel like there's moments in that song where I feel Rolly really going through it in full sending in those vocals. I hear you 100%, even me personally.
Yeah, so
thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And so even like there's depth for myself, like, is where I was talking about with Above My Head by Polaris. Like, I resonate with that song so well. There's definitely be a lot of people that have listened to this that resonate that exact same way that I did with that song by Polaris. And it's just going to be somewhere that's going to be something that they hold on to forever. And whenever they hear that song, they're going to remember what they went through, but they're also going to remember the fact that they got past it, that they defeated that, I'm going to call it, defeated that demon. And it's going to remind them that, yeah, I went through that. However, if I went through that and I defeated it, what's to say I can't get through the next thing that's going to come my way?
Yeah, definitely.
It's sort of like a hype song in a way, but like a mental hype song.
It's I hear you. It's kind of like an anthem for those trying to rise above whatever problems they're going through right now. And honestly, I love that interpretation of it. And if you guys connected with it in that way, that's awesome for us. And thank you for even listening to it.
It's surreal, man. Just the amount of positive response that we've received over the music so far. I'm extremely humbled to even know that we're even over 1 million plays on YouTube. I never thought that I could get that, so we're just extremely grateful for our fans, and we really can't wait to share more. I mean, there's just so much that we have in store, and we don't have any plans of stopping. I mean, this is our dream, and we want to make sure that this happens no matter what the cost, so we've got to definitely, we have a lot of work to do, definitely, to say the least.
Say this, when it comes to dreams and people having dreams, any dream can come true. You just have to be willing to put in all the work required to make it true. And it seems like you guys definitely have that knowledge and definitely have that self-awareness to know that this is what you want to do. However, it's not going to be easy, but as Tom Hanks once said in A League of Their Own, if it was easy, then everyone would do it.
That's right.
Yeah. Self-belief and hard work will get you a long way,
Oh, very much so. If it wasn't for belief and hard work, I wouldn't have done 116 episodes of this so far. So I feel you on that one.
Definitely. Congratulations on that so far, man.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like 100 episodes is definitely a milestone,
Thank you. And up next, 200 episodes. Woo!
Hey!
Yeah.
Probably get there faster than I got to 100 because I went from doing 1 a week to 2 a week. So just keep it rolling.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's good, though. That's good because especially now this year, people need that stuff, People need more content.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what happens once this whole entire COVID thing ends, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, more bands are going out on tour, more bands are, performing live out on the road. So it might be a little bit more difficult to get some of these bands, but you know what? That's a challenge that I'm willing to take on. I was willing to take on, okay, how am I going to end up, working within this whole entire COVID situation? All right, I figured that out and I made it work for myself. Now what's going to happen when that next thing happens? I can't sit on my laurels and be like, okay, this is what I did when I got there. Now I can just ride this out. No, I'm going to have to change it up because, well, we're going to be living in a completely different world once again. I got to figure it out and I got to adapt. I can't just sit and be like, well, that worked one time, so it's going to work again. No, I'm going to be in a completely different environment at that point.
We're so lucky to be in a generation too where we know it's going to be absolutely 1000% different. And a lot of back in the day, like they didn't know it was going to change as drastically. And when it hit, a lot of people didn't know. And nowadays, I mean, we know 2 years, 3 years, everything's gonna be crazy different than what it is now. So it's like that uncertainty is really weird for the music industry too.
It,
It's
it
like
it is, but John, one thing I did like what you said is just like the fact that you're aware of the fact that things are going to be different later online. Because take a look at 30 years ago, people were buying physical copies of CDs and people were still buying cassettes as well. And all of a sudden, you go back 15 years, all
dude
of a
in
sudden,
vinyls.
yeah, and you go back 15 years, and everyone was like, okay, CDs out the window, vinyls. No one bought any of those cassettes. Again, that was all news. Everyone was listening to their iPods. Everyone was downloading MP3s, and all of a sudden, jump in, and now it's like, yeah, vinyls are making a comeback because it's more of a nostalgic thing. It's more of a tangible thing as well. Yeah, I've got a turntable back here. I've got a collection of vinyls. I like to do that as well because sometimes I like to pop them on. It's kind of a cool thing, but.
Yeah. It's
Now
a very big music head thing. Like it's like a music head hobby now. It's not like the main medium anymore.
Yeah, but it's just like downloading MP3s or MP3 version songs. That's going away right now because everyone is streaming now. So it's just how that all works and how these streaming services work and all the playlists that they have and all the playlists people subscribe to and how people get their music out there now. Yeah, it's a lot different than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years, 15 years ago. It always is evolving, but the fact of the matter that you have that, know about that, it's going to be different and you have that awareness, you're going to be a little bit more, what's the best word? You're going to be more apt to adapt.
Yes. Yeah. I think we do got a little leg up on that curve that's coming. Just having the knowledge of knowing, but maybe that's my personality type. That change is scary, So it's exciting too, because then the thing that I see a lot coming out of the music industry from this, everybody with great ideas is gonna thrive. So all the bad ideas are gonna die. All the good ideas are gonna thrive. Everybody's writing music right now. Think about the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. How many amazing albums are going to be coming out of this quarantine? Everybody's tactics, even the music industry, how live shows are going to go. Who knows what local shows are going to look like now being, promoted and how everything is going to go. So, I mean, who knows if live stream shows are going to be more of a facet than they were before and stay more as the mainstay. How many bands are gonna not tour as much and do a live show because they could sell a huge ticket like that, or even Metallica's drive-in movie event. How many bands are gonna be doing movie type things like Bieber and Cyrus did. So I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's gonna be coming out of this.
I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming out of it now. I mean, take a look at guys like Matt Heafy and Ronnie Radke with on streaming on Twitch. I mean, Heafy's been doing it for a while now, but it's just, and Heafy's always doing kind of like the same stuff where it's just he's playing a lot of music, he's doing a lot of coverage, just having a lot of fun doing that. People are really getting behind it. Then take a look at Ronnie Radke. I mean, the dude's top 10 already in terms of Twitch subscribers, and that guy's all over the place with it. So it's just like that innovation is already happening. And then when all of a sudden when live shows come back and COVID is defeated, we're no longer in a pandemic, there's going to be something completely new that happens. Like, who knows, again, who knows what that's going to be, but you got to be willing to try certain things and you got to be willing to adapt, and you can't rest on your laurels to whatever got you there in the first place. You got to always innovate. You got to always adapt, because all of a sudden, bands that were big on MySpace, even all of a sudden Facebook came around. If they were so stuck on MySpace, yeah, they went completely by the wayside because, well, you didn't change. You didn't change with the times.
Yep. So many bands, man, that just kind of fell to the wayside there. And I think it's cool to, I think there's a lot of cool things happen now. One of the really nice ideas that I thought earlier on in the year when COVID was first hitting was the Travis Scott experience. That was pretty
on
cool.
Fortnite. That was cool. Fortnite. Travis Scott did a virtual concert in Fortnite.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. And but something like that takes a lot of effort, and unless you have the right connections and that kind of stuff, I don't see that being a possibility for mid or lower level bands. But
even the concept though is like, that has to be something you can reproduce on a local level somehow.
Oh yeah, I definitely see it now. I mean, if we have the technology to do like 3D effects on camera, doing like FaceTime and that kind of stuff, Messenger and whatnot, Snapchat. I can only see it happening here in the next few years where we can all like, do character setups and be playing live and kind of doing the experience. I think that would be pretty cool. And a lot of other things that really, folks aren't really thinking about. Like, I mean, what do folks do when they're actually going to visit a play? I mean, there's a lot of theatricality that goes behind that. I think that you could still kind of do like a live show virtually, and people will still have a good experience. It's just a matter of how you're going to achieve that. Like, what are the elements that you're going to bring that's going to be unique? Number one, that's going to provide an experience to the user, and number three, that's still going to convey the message that you want. So, I mean, that's up to everybody to figure out right now. And I think I have a good idea of where I want to be um, in the future. If we're probably not seeing shows in 2021, then I'm already thinking about this, and seeing what we can do on that level.
But that's going to give you a leg up over the competition as well. And I mean, I always love, like, when it comes to music, I love to see any band just really still grow and thrive, especially because we're all going for the same thing over there. But when it comes down to it, I mean, when it comes down to like, okay, you got this one venue, yeah, you got one time slot, and you got 5 bands that are going for it. Yeah, there's going to be competition in order to get there. There's competition in everything. But the fact of the matter is you're already thinking about these things going forward in terms of, okay, so if the pandemic is completely eradicated and COVID's completely done by, say beginning 2021, how are we going to go forward with that? If it's not done, how are we going to go forward with that? And how are we going to continue to grow the band? How are we going to continue to grow the fan base? How are we going to continue to connect with the fan base? And where that gives you a leg up is the fact that you're already thinking about that now, and you're going to be proactive, not reactive, because it's like with the internet, it's the biggest thing is pretty much getting there first. So if you're there first, oh man, is that a huge leg up over the competition. But then again, also one thing you have to remember too is the quality, the cream is going to rise to the top in the end.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, there have been bands that do these kind of experience. Like I remember when Super Audio CDs came out, those were pretty cool. They had DVDs as well of like, surround sound, like the Eagles performance. That was really cool to listen to on DVD. Oh my God, man. Just listening to, Hotel California being played in surround sound, you feel like you're there, I mean, you feel like you're in the audience. So, doing something like that, I definitely see it as a possibility. And the technology has only grown from there. So, I mean, maybe some incorporation of that would be really cool.
That would be interesting. See if you guys can get something like that going on by the end of 2020, early 2021.
VR concerts? That'd be cool.
You never know. It might work.
Throw on a little thing. Y'all are in the crowd. It could work.
If you mention a VR mosh pit, I'm just going to end up slamming into my walls.
Have you ever seen like those VR games like Sword and Spell and stuff like that? It'd be wild.
Yeah, I need to go like to like some sort of like former like insane asylum and just had like the padded walls and just do a VR concert in there, like put the VR goggles on, because I know I'm gonna end up slamming into walls at some point through a mosh pit, but I want to make sure I don't hurt myself too bad.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Oh my God, I
VR
think we got
concert in an asylum.
I think we got an idea. bring back the padded walls. VR concerts, people for mosh pitters, because all of a sudden, you're gonna end up going and slam into each other. What happens if you accidentally slam into the wall? Well, it's padded, so it's not too bad.
Until you bust into your wall in your room.
I think I'm actually gonna look into this, because this seems like especially for VR concert, a huge possibility. Because
bro, that'd be it'd be like being inside of the beginning of a Guitar Hero track. When you're watching them on stage and they're like, oh cool, and you see the crowd is all there, but you're in the crowd now.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna give a look at that. I'm looking at time right now.
Cool.
We've got about an hour and 15. I know you guys said like an hour is a good time, but I was having a lot of fun with the conversation, but kind of like the whole entire idea for 2020, like going like forward and making sure you guys are, keeping in mind innovation tactics. I think that's a good place to really be like, okay, we've gone through the music, we've gone through a more of like an emotional part of it as well. And then also kind of talk about, going forward. So it seems like with your mindset though, going forward in the future, you guys are setting yourself up for success, and so the groundwork is there. All that matters is the work going forward to capitalize on all that.
Yes, sir. And we're going to be working as hard as we can and doing as much as we can to try and put out great music and great content and stuff for the fans to eat up and to try and to enjoy,
Yep, keep it up. And before we sign off though, Rolly, John, let you guys get a couple last words in there. Anything you want to say about AVAT? Anything you want to say to the people listening to this? The floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. We just want everybody to kind of follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, of course. We're on Apple Music, Deezer. I believe we're also on Tidal. If you guys want to listen to us, we are out there. We're loving your comments, so make sure you guys are leaving comments, like our videos on YouTube. And, let us know what you guys want to hear. I mean, if you guys want us to do like a little live stream, we're down to do that. And start just, interacting. In this time of COVID, we know that everybody's a little anxious. So if anybody wants us to do that, we want to hear about it. We want to plan for something like that, make a little event and just kind of share it with everyone.
You can find our IG handle at AVAT Music on Instagram. You can find my IG handle at KingXJohnR. And thank you for everybody who's listened to the music. Honestly, you guys are our lifeblood and we so appreciate it. Hit us up in the DMs. We may take a long time to answer, but we try and answer everybody. We love getting messages from you guys. So thank you, honestly, for everybody
Absolutely
who supported us,
And for everyone listening, when it comes to following these guys on all their social media platforms, subscribing to their stuff on Spotify, Apple Music, I know you guys just want a one-stop shop when it comes to like, oh, instead of searching up, can we just like click a link or something, have it sent to you guys and like just go right there? Yeah, take a look at the description of this YouTube video, or if you're listening to the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or iHeart Radio, everything's going to be in the description of the episode. It's going to be a one-click away thing. I'm making it as super easy on you guys as I possibly can, so you got no excuse not to follow these guys. So, oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. This has been an awesome, and it's been so much fun, honestly.
I'm glad you guys had fun, and I'm not going to end this one with a goodbye because I don't like to end it with goodbyes, mostly because that always signifies, this like the end of it, and I don't want this to be the end of it because I'd love to have you guys on the show once again, and also once concerts are going back, I want to see you guys live and meet you guys, in person, I should say.
Definitely.
So I'm not going to end this with a goodbye. I'm going to end this with my favorite thing. See you later.
See you later.
See you guys.
See you later, man.
Whoa, folks. That was my interview with Roland and John from the band AVAT. So please go check them out on all of their socials. Again, link is in the description. And when it comes to you emerging bands in the scene that might be listening to this podcast, or just anybody else when it comes to figuring out what's going on with COVID, with the music scene and what's going forward, just always remember, be open to the change, be willing to adapt, and be willing to try new things, because if you rest on those laurels, man, you're not going to get anywhere, especially because how rapid things are changing. So always be willing to adapt, innovate, and be open to what may come your way, because it will serve you so much better in the long run. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening to the Chord Progression podcast, brought to you by MSOTD Rocks, where rock and metal thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes. The big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.